This is your daily market recap for Tuesday, September 20th, 2022. Let's go.
Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well.
This is Dan Max at EXPI Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is your daily market recap for Tuesday, September 20th, 2022, the day before the FOMC. Hopefully everybody is surviving, keeping an eye on things, not getting too excited, too caught up in what's going on. First things I would recommend people did yesterday is if you are new to the channel, please check out the Back to Beginners series, the video called How to Trade the Monday and Tuesday before the FOMC meeting. Ideally, there's really not a ton of things to do. However, I always warn people, when in doubt, do nothing. Don't overtrade this. So it is what it is. A lot of people are struggling. I get it. Just be careful, okay? Please, just be very careful. I think there's a lot of people out there who think they have to trade every day. There's something to do, and that's what's just going to get you in trouble. So, again, if you're new to the channel, please follow on Twitter. Check out the Discord room if you're already a part of the channel, and subscribe on YouTube. I tell people, the Discord room, unfortunately, it's closed to people, but we're talking about this stuff all day. I want people who want to come in and learn, who want to do this stuff and actually not just ask for the easy answers. It's usually those people that drain me, and that's why I had to kind of shut it down. At a certain point, there was hundreds of people in here just asking questions constantly, and it just seemed like everyone wanted the easy answer, which I get it. So at this point, if you have any questions, again, hit me up on social media. Please follow. And if you want to be involved, just let me know. We'll figure something out. And again, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, as always in life. Let's get into it. Oh, sorry. I need it. I need that, actually. Oh, man. Long day. Not really super long, but just kind of funny. Like Chris Farley, if y'all saw that. There's a meme, filthy meme with Chris Farley in the background. I love generating memes. Hey, okay, let me mute this and let's get into Bitcoin. I've said this a lot, and let's keep it simple. Not much. Just, again, has to get below 17.5 to be bearish. It needs to get back over 25 to be bullish. It could chop for as long as it needs. It looks like dead money, and I've recommended people just stay away. Trade it accordingly, maybe short highs, buy dips, and then at some point when it decides to go where it's going to go, it'll go. Oil said this: I anticipate lower prices in the 60s at some point. Remember we talked about how retail was all in at the highs on the retest. That theme will now play out. I think when we talk about my solar names, I want people to realize that in the market, when the news is screaming the loudest for certain things, you've got to be very careful. Talked about that recently, hence why I'm actually slightly bullish near term in the market. It might seem kind of crazy, but if you think about it from that perspective, it seems very likely. Put call ratios are high. People are extremely bearish. Everybody and their mom is expecting a down move. The market has tricky potential here. The dollar, talked about this in time, going much higher. Near term, probably a little tired. Think about it. These are big moves. Consolidating up against the channel high. Leave it alone. Added a little TLT today. People are like, it's end game over. Another novice gap down. Interesting. In my mind, novice. Because, it turned right back around with decent volume. Didn't necessarily close at the high of the day, but, it's like it just opens and it just floats all the way back up. I'm anticipating what? Inflation to have peaked. Now, I don't think the Feds have pivoted. Just keep that in mind. But I think rates have peaked. I don't think, the Feds have more meetings to deal with. In November, they're anticipating more rate hikes. I'm just going to say this right now. If the market knows that we're going to go into a recession, I don't give two you-know-whats about what the interbank lending rate is when they raise it. The bond market will start getting bought if people are defensive. Just keep that in mind. If things get defensive, people are going to buy the bond market. I promise you that all day, every day. And if that's the thing, if people need to get if they want to find security, what are they going to do? They're going to buy bonds. That's what they do, folks. That's what they typically do. Now, inflation has to kind of taper, which it looks like it based on the commodity market. It's starting to. The VIX, man, it is just compressing here. It needs to get over 70 or 27, 28. I still think it's going to fill this gap down here. I don't know how. I don't know why. I have a sneaky suspicion. Let me talk out through my scenarios. And people can either agree, not agree. I really don't care. But I know that in front of an election, a midterm, if I am, again, I don't want to be political here, Dems, Republican, whatever. I think at some point Putin's going to back off near term to lull people to sleep, reload his forces, gives the Dems and the people in charge currently, make it look like there was a victory. Somehow he backed down, and then I think he comes back later in the year. That's how I think. He might be waiting for the fall. I personally have the sneaky suspicion that that's kind of the play here, and why the VIX is just compressing under lower highs. Because I think at some point, something bullish is coming. I don't know what it is, and it'll seem bullish for like, oh, bottom of the market. I still don't believe it, because I think something is gonna, again, with CPI over 5% every time has led to a recession. We're in a recession. I don't think the Feds are going to pivot. Again, rates aren't going to go back down a tremendous amount. They might spike lower, but it just seems like one of these things where the market is playing this game where when everyone gets bearish, the VIX collapses. When everyone's bullish, the VIX spikes. And I think we're in this sequence where until, a trader's market, talk about a bear market is a trader's market until the last leg down. I think the last leg down will come in the fourth quarter. We're not in the fourth quarter yet. Keep that in mind. Vixen, same thing. Chopping, holding, tight. SPY, the gap down today, and it's just indecision candle. I mean, imagine that, the day before the FOMC, indecision candle. Looks bearish, looks bullish, looks really like nothing. It looks like the whole day was a waste. I'm glad I didn't sit around and watch. I am anticipating, I've said this again, if everybody's bearish, multi-gap move looks very similar to what? The June bottom that rallied and started a chop cycle. I think this is what it could be, is a chop cycle. And coming off the lows, it'll pop nicely, right? This is what I'm saying. Like, it could just play this game, and people just hate chop. It just seems like, and I've said this 1,000 times, you're gonna pop chop, or you're gonna play this like double bottom choppy game and chop action. It's just not what people want, I know. And so this is the thing. If you really want to short extreme highs. You want to buy dips, buy the lows and have stops. You're going to have to trade this. They're not going to make it easy. QQQ held up way better today. Not surprised. Apple, some of the semi names look okay. Same thing. Here you go. Another dead, nothing day. If you think about, again, the sentiment, you think about how everyone's bearish, this is where you have to be very cautious. And a lot of people don't do this. They just go read the news and they read all these headlines. And I tell people, you got to stop doing that, because at the lows, the bearish articles are the most, it just seems obvious. Oh, it's going lower. At the highs, it seems so bullish. Everything can only go higher. And I'm telling you, in a trader's market, that's how you get trapped. Who remembers the CPI? Now we're down here going in front of the Feds. I think it's going to pop. IWM, we talked about this lately, holding up. Look at that. Is what, SPY and Q, if they are down here equivalently, holding tight. That's not bearish, y'all. Gold. Now people are saying, oh, look at Wall Street Journal. They said gold is dead. I've said this over and 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 over again. We were going to make sure everybody who bought up in the upper quadrant here was wrong. Above this red. I still think there's going to be a blowout, and the VIX needs to spike. Now, how close are we to the actual bottom? That is tough. Because what I think can happen, and a lot of people don't think like this, unfortunately. Again, I've said this is a head and shoulders top, 0.382 max, maybe it gets down to the 50-month. But this is one of the things that leads me to believe that if the market does like this little game of chop, plop, and whatever, and the Feds haven't pivoted, I see gold going nowhere. And honestly, it could get sold all the way into tax loss selling into December. And that is not what people want to hear. Trust me, I get that. Obviously, no one wants to hear this as a gold bull. But the best moves have always been what? To buy the stuff in December and let it ride. Let this ride into December. Because this is what I think could happen here, is you could get like this October, November chop, and then boom, down into December. Because I want to see this channel break. I always talk about the straight line move precedes the bottom. I want it to get choppy and then go one more. People are like, oh, you're being too greedy. You should just be buy. I've got physical. The paper game. And again, people overthink this. The paper game blows out. Silver, GLD, GDX, GDXJ, all these paper commodity funds and minor ETFs, they're the ones that get blown out. Silver, same thing. Just leave it alone. It probably gets down to 16 at some point, but when it does, just when it'll get there when it gets there when it gets there. Just please be simple, be smart, be thoughtful. GDX, same thing. Leave it alone. GDXJ, we said leave it alone. But this one, ultimately, I will say this. When it is time to buy miners, please buy the juniors. Don't buy individual names because some of them are really crappy. But buy the whole ETF. I'm telling you, buy the junior basket. AG, leave it alone. Just leave it. Leave it. Dead money. Going nowhere. Talked about how when it got up here, failed. Oops, sorry. Let me open this up. Talked about bouncing, failing. Since then, leave it alone. Newmont, absolutely leave this thing alone. If you don't know the past, this is what it did in the 2000s. It looked so good, like it was going to hold up. Here we go. Gold's going. Everybody's like, buy gold and miners. And bam. Goodbye. Absolutely slaughtered. Slaughter was what it was. Pass. Just pass on it. Again, I like these names at some point. Not Newmont, but I just like to look at Newmont. But I promise you, there will be a time. Here is the bigger, I wouldn't say they're like the big caps. They're a big cap. Big cap. Whatever. They're not a large monster cap. But AAM's a big company. But I think it's oh, look at this. We've got volume. When you got volume, this is what you look for. I think this one will hold, will lead better. Just, those are my opinions. Don't have to agree. This isn't somehow like a democracy where we all have to get along. No, the market's going to do what it's going to do. I still think miners, metals, all this stuff, leave it alone. Do yourself a favor. Leave it alone. Letter X, talked about this. It's going to get sloppy and it's going to get choppy. Look for the low end of range. Then maybe. Think about long term. I'm telling you, guys, got to let this stuff come in. Nuke Corp, they guided down. Leave it alone. 89, 70s. I just don't think the market's going to go into this like implosion just yet. It just doesn't feel typical. Like you got to get everybody out of, you got to get people not bearish at the lows. Like that's what the market's so good at doing, and it's proven over and time again. It does that. VALE, leave it alone. Probably going to go down somewhere in this 11 range. CCJ, bears, congratulations, you've got the top. Professional gap, filled it, and now what? Chopping. This is the hardest thing, and I'll say the same thing when we get into the solar names. Please do not short these names until the market looks like it's going to turn over. CCJ looks good. It looks okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I struggle with this because I know it's going to 16, 21, somewhere. I know it's a wide range, but it's just going to get beaten like it has in the past every single time. Okay? At this point, I don't know what to tell you folks who want to get long uranium because you're I'm telling you, you're trapped. You have retail all in, and that's not the place you want to be, y'all. It's not what you want to be in a bear market because, again, at the lows, they're going to get these folks to puke. And whether you think diamond hands matters or not, I'm telling you, they're going to get people to sell. Margin calls, liquidations, redemptions within institutions and hedge funds, end of year tax selling. I mean, there's all sorts of things that could start this tsunami that pulls everything down at the end. And I'm just telling you, we're not at the end. How can you assume we're at the end? It doesn't feel like the end. You'll know when you're at the end because everybody won't be calling for a bottom. At the bottom, when the real bottom kicks in. I'm talking about the bottom. The little bottom will be everybody just gives up, man. And there'll be no more bulls. Like all these social media influencers and all these clowns on FinTwit are just going to give up. CF talked about it, holding the 100-day. Looks choppy, sloppy. Like, again, there's another name. Love it. Like it. Don't want to marry it just yet. Hopefully this is very clear. Let's get into tech. Let's go roll through tech, then we'll do some names. We'll keep all this simple. AMD, everybody loves it. I mean, I still think it's compressing here. It can easily come right back to 85. Do you remember all this? Because I do. This is just sloppy choppy. I think we're going to get into that mode again. Remember, see how you can take a negative, you go from 110 down to 72. You pop, come back down, you play this game, and I'm telling you right now, the best way to smash this and end the game is to bring in bulls. I just don't know how to tell people 100,000 times that's the best way to do it. Nvidia, same thing. Even Kramer's getting bearish. I'm buying it down here for a trade. I can get up to 150 easily. Easily. Fill this gap easily, potentially. Who knows? SMH, just chopping at the range lows. Nothing really to say other than watch it. Let me just run through a few of these tech names. Adobe, gap, tight action. If you sold your puts out of the money, oh man, they absolutely got slaughtered. I think this thing will rally at some point. I just got a email for a price increase on Adobe. Awesome. On my Acrobat suite. Thanks for raising prices. Apple. Look, what do we talk about? Broke below the range. Pop right back. Things that aren't bearish. This is a trap, y'all. Remember we talked about traps? Like this was a trap here. When I hit the 100-day and rallied a whopping 13 points, 12 points, 3 days. Here you go. 148. Oh, no, it's probably not going to go high. 165s. I mean, I think it just seems logical. Please, be thoughtful, be smart, and be what? Safe. Okay? You got to be thoughtful, got to be safe, got to be smart. Okay? I don't really know what to tell people sometimes other than what? Know that you know. And nobody really gets that, and I know it's so confusing. Dad, what is know that you know? Well, you just know. And knowing means you know the past. You don't get like caught in this spin cycle game. I hope this makes sense. I know a lot of people just, I think the best way for them to learn this is experience, but I'm trying to help people and make them realize like there's certain parameters that make for bigger smashes. And one of them is chop. Remember, chop precedes the drop, chop precedes the pop. That's the best move. Now the V's and V bottoms and tops, very difficult. Amazon bought more of this today. I just figure it's holding the 100-day. All that bad news from FedEx that affected them, it's holding. Again, I think the tech is about to rally. CRM holding here. Now again, if I'm wrong, please use stops. That's your job. Your job is to marry your stops, not your desires. This action is very tricky here. Look at that. For Guggenheim, range lows, big volume came in. Feels like a trap. Trappy. Meta was holding up pretty good today. Kind of tight action. Now, again, I'm not a long-term bull in any means, but I think these names are due to bounce. Just seems everybody hates the market. And I'm telling you, that's not how you bottom. That's not how you break down. Microsoft, man, 250 or 240, talked about it. Look at that rally back. Doji. Things that aren't bearish, but we'll see. This compressing action with volume at the lows has me very concerned for bears. MicroStrategy, even with Bitcoin getting smoked, here it is, range lows. Not getting absolutely smoked out. Netflix, holding up, things that are bearish. Like, what is it doing? If the market's about to roll over, Netflix should be not at the highs. Just keep that in mind. Right? Roblox, what? 100-day. I mean, this is not, some of these names are way down here in the, like, equivalently would be in the 20s. This thing's holding up at the 100-day. I know this action's tight, but look at that. Gap down and, like, look at the volume. Ugh. I don't even know what to say. Tesla. Things that aren't bearish. What is it doing up at the highs? Now, again, long-term, I am not a Tesla bull by any means. But Tesla leads me into what? The EV names. This is why I want to slap through all of these tech names. So I think they all look very similar. Everybody's hiding out in tech slash, green technology, solar. Watch Tesla to top first before you really want to start shorting. And here's the list of names that I've just pulled up and I looked at. And they all got pooped today, which is good. Here you go, the tan. Breaking the 50-day, the volume's not hit. We'll see. I think it's going to play this game where it probably, could it fill the gap? Maybe. I think it's going to hold down here. And then when it pops up, you see my alarm, 89, then you start shorting. Because again, be careful shorting names in a market when the market's holding up. ENPH, chopping up, holding high and tight. It's up against the monthly channel. Just be aware. be aware. It could chop up here for a long time, but this looks distributive. No follow through. Somebody was unloading on some sort of news. What is this? Sedge. Solar Edge Technologies. Yeah, look at this. Making a lower high. I mean, people are going to start drawing this and they're going to see shampoo shoulder, head and shoulders. I would personally, again, just wait. Now, if it rolls over, great. And here's your trend line. We'll see. First Solar. Now, this one to me looks very similar to all these patterns, but one thing I like about First Solar is you can see very distributive up here. I mean, this action is just blowout city. So you distribute here, and they rally it back on equal volume, right? You've seen that before at highs, like wide and loose action. Goes slightly higher. Anomaly cam. Look at this. Anomaly. Then the next day was the big volume, was the doji. Let me zoom in. You can maybe see it. Here's your doji. That's distributive. Here you go. You look above it, distributive. Now it's chopping. I'm telling you the stuff going into the election, if the red party wins, blue party is going to, all these tax credits for this kind of stuff is not going to be as very easy. Just keep that in mind. This stuff is going to get choppy and sloppy. Now, could it be peaking as we talk? Yeah. Then I miss it. Because again, I think there's more pop potential in the market versus short this stuff in the near term. Because people, this is how you get the traps, folks. This is how you remember talk about. Everyone's like, how could you have shorted oil at certain times, earlier in the year? And I was like, because everybody was hiding off in it, and even when the market dropped, then it went kapow and led the market lower. This stuff, I think at some point will lead the market lower. I just don't think we're there yet. Let's roll through some of the other friendly names. NDAQ, man, I am kicking myself going, please give me another retest up here. But here you go. It retests the range of lows. I'd love to get this in the 60s, the short. Absolutely love it. XPI, things that aren't bearish. Inside day, doji, range lows. You can see it's the bottom of the VAP zone. That action, that's interesting to me. Just, it doesn't look distributive. Doesn't look like end of the world distribution action. Okay? Keep an eye on this stuff. Because if this bounces back, it's going to lead you, it's going to let you know, hey, whoa, what's going on? XLF, inside day, again, retesting low. Keep in mind, if the XLF and financials were very bearish, they'd be here in the, they'd be down in the 30s, I think. I think they'd be a lot lower, folks. Just warning y'all. Certain things that just don't look bearish. I'm sorry. It looks like it should be way down here if it was about to crack, but it's up high. Something's going on. Morgan Stanley got an upgrade today, or maybe, I don't know. Whatever. Someone absorbed this action on Friday, and it's chopping under the 200-day. Doesn't look bearish, y'all. Doesn't look bearish. Even crappy JP Morgan without a buyback, just chopping. Something is going on here. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm leaving a lot of this stuff alone. I told people I want to short it, but I'm just not there. UTHR, what did I say yesterday? When it breaks this, it's probably going back to the 200-day. Well, one day it did it. We'll see what happens. EXPI, leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Somebody was asking about Penn. I know the Penn Gaming. If Portnoy's listening, I get you, buddy. This Friday action, this looks like some sort of OPEX. Yeah, Friday action. I don't know if it was like people were exercising calls. That's a good question here. Someone said this looks bullish. This is where sometimes the anomalies are tough because it's literally the Friday of options expiration. This is the one time where sometimes volume can be a little tricky. And you can understand why, right? If there's a bunch of options expiring, does someone get put the stock, long the stock, whatever? Tricky. I'd watch it though. I mean, now if it gets below it, then it's bearish. Put 30. Hold above it, should be bullish. Oil. Again, Putin's doing this and the world's doing that. And I'm telling you, this stuff is stuck. Oil demand has dropped because there's a recession. UNG, not too shabby, folks. We talked about holding up here, double top. Look, we talked about outside reversal. This is a big double top. Now we talked about head and shoulders. I personally wish I was short more of this stuff, but you know what? I'll wait. I think at some point hurricane comes, you get the spike, then it's the freaking easy money down. XOP holding up relatively well considering a lot of stuff is down here. Oil's down near the lows. This is holding up pretty well. It's just hard not to think that based on the action. And let's end it on ExxonMobil. Down 70 cents. Not that big a deal. Inside day. this is tough stuff, and I understand. And a lot of people don't do well in chop. This is why I always explain to people, give yourself time if you have options. Always, because this happens. Be able to roll in and out. Talked about rolling out of some Apple stuff today and into some longer dated Amazon stuff. Talked about just earlier this week, like, hey, if you have weekly calls that expire and you had the up, take some profit and roll it into other stuff. Hopefully people are taking advantage of that. Ideally, if you just try to survive, just try to survive these times. Don't do too much damage. Don't get too leveraged. Don't do anything nutty, because that's what ultimately blows people out. And if you have questions about real estate, man, the time to buy is going to be this winter. If the Feds do what I think they're going to do and eventually pivot and talk about, they've tightened too much, bonds are going to come screaming back down, rate or yields are going to come screaming back down, but people are going to be scared, which is fine, but you're going to be able to cop some incredible deals. People keep saying, "Oh, Dan, you're just pushing because you're real estate." I'm like, I am buying real estate. I close on a property on Monday, and I'm going back to shopping list. I will be opening up the bank account to do such again. I mean, the goal is to get 10 properties in the next 10 years. If I can do that, then trading gets even easier and easier and easier because there's no pressure. None. I hope, and again, hopefully this makes sense why you do that. All right. Appreciate the follows. Please leave comments, likes, share, whatever you want to do. I appreciate any interaction with these videos is so much appreciated, again, because a lot of people want to donate and they can't. That's fine. I told you, like, make money, get back to even, do whatever you're doing in trading, that when you feel like the education tuition is paid and you're paid yourself back and you've bought some precious metals for the long term. If you can't do anything, then again, liking, subscribing, sharing, and also just interacting with the videos helps the algorithm out. Maybe it's good for helping people who need to find this kind of stuff, because that's the goal. You found it, someone helped find, I found someone else when I need, or other people when I needed help. Well, like I said, when the teacher's ready or when the student's ready, the teacher always appears. Hopefully we can be that for those people. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.